morning, and welcome to Winnipeg. Yeah, wintry Winnipeg. Still. Now, some of you are wondering, how did the MRI go yesterday? Well, I had thought that I had had an MRI in the past. I've had 3 or 4, maybe 5 CT scans. And I thought I'd had one MRI because the machine was very noisy. But it was nothing like the machine I was in yesterday. And I was in for a long time. I'm guessing 30 minutes. And it would go on and off and on and off. And those of you who have actually had one, you know what I'm talking about. But wow, was this thing noisy. First they stuck earplugs in, and then they put ear protection over top. And I said, the last time I had it, I don't remember getting that. Well, you know what? I've concluded now that maybe yesterday that was my first MRI, and the rest were all CT scans. What a noisy machine that is. Okay, I'll be getting the results from the doctor in a week or so, I guess. And for those of you who are wondering, the scan was for my prostate. It's a guy problem. Anyway, I should clean this up too. This is getting to be, as I've said before, a horrendous mess. But today, what I'd really like to do, if I can, is I'd like to see if I can't do something with our broken railing. It's been suggested that I try to solder it, but I think it's just too delicate, and I think I'd end up with big globs of solder in places where I don't want them. So I'm not going to try that. Another person suggested maybe you could fasten, I think it was military modeler Paul suggested to put another post on it. And I think I did something like that way back in the Bismarck build. I soldered a post on. I could possibly solder on a post. Make something up. But I'm going to see first if, I don't know, there's those 3 little rails that are sticking out there, and they're not really fastening onto anything. So if I was to put a post on it, it might give it a little bit of more strength. I suppose I could try that. That might be kind of fun. You know, yeah, maybe we'll do that. Let's see if we can solder a post on there. And then, it was Mark in Australia. He suggested making a template out of wood that you could have, like a mold that you could have shaped the railing around. And I actually have a machine in the basement, a scroll saw in the basement that is extremely delicate. And I can if I want to and wear my magnification hood, I can just get right in there and just make the tiniest little parts. The blade is only about must be 100, take a kerf of 1/100th of an inch or less. It's anyway, we're not going to do that though. But it was a thought. Thanks, Mark. And let's just recompose here and see if maybe we can't solder a post on. I wonder what I'm going to use as the post though. I'll have to check through the scrapped leftover railings from previous builds. We'll find something. Okay, I was just thinking here that I realized that the post that we need is already there. Now, if I was to use a couple of self-locking tweezers that would act as something to stabilize everything and also act as sort of a heat sink, could I possibly put just the most smallest little, I was going to call it dollop, of bead of solder right here and here and here? I don't know. Or am I going to just make it worse? Now, even if I was to try and put a post on this, you know, right there all by itself, I still risk having the same problem. So if we could get it, okay, I don't think there is supposed to be much of a bend at this spot. I do believe that it bends right here on this joint, and then it goes straight back. Like I think that this part, let me just get this in here. This part goes right here. This section goes right here. And then our solder joint would actually be right here, providing we haven't broken something else off. And then I got to try and figure out how to get it round without damaging the rest of this out here. This is, you know, I've often used the term that this is beyond my expertise. I know that some people are pretty good at doing this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm going to give it a try. You know, if worst comes to worst, this part just will not have a railing. Now, I was noticing that on this one right here, where the tweezer is squeezing together, that connection, like that post, there's supposed to be a bend there, and I was noticing that it is extremely, you might say, floppy. I've got a feeling that even if I was to get this soldered here, right here, we might end up breaking this joint off later when we try to shape it to go on the part here. Now, my thinking is these tweezers are almost exactly right. If I could get this lined up, it pretty well has to be held in tweezers, because when you come in with the solder, it's going to, if it's not being held stiff, it's going to move on you. So right now, I don't know, maybe I should be holding these down somehow and something to make them a little stronger, but I don't think so. I think maybe we'll put the macro lens on and see what we can do. Maybe put a little bit of the solder flux on there. You know, that flux I've got that's already got solder in it, if I get just a little dollop on each one of these joints, it might run into place as long as everything is basically touching. Let me get the macro lens on, we'll talk some more. Okay, here is another thought. This joint that we are going to try and glue up here, solder up here, is going to later have to be bent to a 90-degree bend. Doesn't it make sense to maybe reposition this so that this joint is 90 degrees already? I think I can do that. And just the idea would be to, you know, try and have this one, you know, vertical like this, and then somehow lay those other three things on top of it. It's probably going out of the scene now. Oh no, I just checked the monitor, it's still there. Okay, could it be positioned like this? Something like that. And then this something like this. I'm just going to have to reset up here. Now I just realized this angle here is not 90 degrees. It's only about 45 degrees, and it's in the complete opposite direction. Something like that. Now we're going to be pretty close to the green cloth. I'd like to have it down where it is, to because it's convenient for me to rest my hands on the table as a steady rest. But we should have maybe a piece of metal underneath there, just in case. Now this tuna fish tin lid is, I've got lots of these, so maybe what I should do is just take and cut this up so I can just have just a flat piece of metal to slide underneath there. We don't need something that big. Okay, I realize that I've bumped our little setup here slightly out of whack, but that's okay. Let's get our heat protector in place here. And I think that if I get a tiny little bit of solder on each one of these spots, now, the solder's getting old and stiff. Well, that's probably way too much. See if I just get just part of that stuck on there now. Yeah, I realize I'm moving the other part. We will get it back. This may not work out quite. There, I got it on the middle one. I think that if I touch the heat on the middle one, it'll travel out and do the others. Oh, I'm bending this. It's so fragile. So fragile. Yeah, I'm bending it out of whack there. I think it's, you know, I think it's gone and broken on me here. I think it's broken up there where it's hooked into the tweezer. Well, let's fix that later. I mean, we're so close here to soldering. We may as well, even if we mess it up, trying to get some off. Let me just clean that nozzle up and start again. Yeah, I do believe we've broken it off of the top there, like where the tweezer's holding it. There. All right. Now I think there's probably enough solder there that it will. If I can just get this. What would be the best way? I'd been hoping to sort of hang this on it, but this is not going to work, folks. This is not going to work. Okay, we tried. The grandstand or pulpit or whatever you call it is just not going to have the extra railing. I'm going to have to put up a little sign, watch your step. Well, the good news is, I know it's going to taste a lot better than it looks. Okay. A little bit of time has passed here now. And I know I had said that I was going to give up on the railing. But then I thought, why don't I just check and take a look at Tony's railing here. I'm pretty sure all of this is from the model that Tony sent us to practice on. In fact, I'm sure it is. I don't remember any railing like this with the Rodney, Bismarck, or Hood. And now, that railing that we had here, I think I got discouraged and threw it out. I suppose I could find it. But it was about this height. It wasn't full chest height railing. Like this is a piece of railing from possibly the Bismarck. I suppose I could use this. It would be, to scale, but I don't think they had railing quite that high. I'm thinking that this railing is a little lower, and it might look a little bit more realistic. It's also a lot stiffer. And I think if I was to carefully anneal it, and I have another idea for annealing, I'm not going to pass a flame directly through the delicate rails. I'm going to heat the metal up differently, like either on a hot plate type thing or maybe a homemade hot plate sort of thing. At least that's the plan. But I think I'm going to wrap today's episode up. Oh, here's some unique railing. It's sort of solid, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think we can see through that at all. I wonder where they... Oh yeah, it's definitely solid. Wonder where they used that on Tony's ship. Anyway, we got different types of railing going on here. We'll find something, and like I say, it's going to be a lot easier to work with, even though it isn't going to be exactly to scale. But that's going to have to be in tomorrow's episode, folks. So thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.